my last TI video, I was probably assembling or starting to assemble the M52. Done a bunch of work off camera and I have the engine ready to go. And at this point, I'm ready to mate the transmission to the engine. In order to do that, I need to get this engine off the stand and get it on the hoist so that I can access the back of the engine. I need to do the rear main seal, and I have a rear cover gasket. I also still have to put a couple of the rear lower oil pan bolts in, as I didn't want to torque them yet, and I think I need to torque every bolt on the oil pan as well. Once I have it off the stand, I'm going to probably just put it on my hoist. I have another M52 here on the ground I'm going to throw on the stand, wheel that in the back and get it out of the way. And then I'll just kind of have the engine hanging on the hoist. I can get the trans bolted up, do the rear main, get the clutch, flywheel, everything on. This thing's ready to go in the car then. The car is ready. I do need a vacuum line for the engine to run from the fuel pressure regulator to the manifold, but I think that's the only part that I need, and I can put that in once it's in the car. So I need to identify which fuel lines are which one's the return and which one's the feed, because I don't want to switch those up and have to deal with that. So I'll probably identify that on the lines in the car before I put the engine in, but that's a quick, just kind of look up on Real OEM, and then probably just throw a zip tie around the feed in the car and then a feed on the engine as well. So I'm gonna get started moving things around and get this engine off the stand. All the engines are switched around. So that's the M52 to go in the car back here. I have the other M52, which is just a spare. I got this from a friend who was moving because I had an E34 front sump pan. So it's actually the head off of an E36 I had almost 10 years ago. It's an M52, it's a 2.8, but it has a 2.5 head. So another guy I know needed a head at the time and used this one. But I have that to build. I'll probably build the other engine I have just using the pan from this one for my E38, but that's settled in here for now. The other M52 is still back here on the stand. Like I said, that's probably what I'll end up using for my car, but I'll have to look at them both and see which one needs more. Not going to do like head off rebuilds or anything, but kind of like what I did with this engine, strip it down all the way and regasket everything and clean everything up really good. But like I said, just need to do the stuff on the rear of the engine now on this thing, and then can go in the car. Now it's time to throw the clutch setup on. One thing I always forget to do is put this plate on before I put the flywheel on. I think you can sneak it by. I think I've done it in the past, but I'm going to remember this time and put it on first. And that's the engine mounted to the trans. So I realized I made a mistake, and I'm actually using like 2 long trans bolts to hold one of my engines on the engine stand. So I think what I'm going to do tomorrow is local BMW dealers right down the road from me. 2 bolts shouldn't be too expensive. I'll just see how much they are from them and how quick they can get them. Otherwise I'll see if maybe FCP Euro has them, or I might have something else here, but that kind of sucks. To put the starter on still, trans wire or the reverse wire, I'm not sure on. This is a manual harness. This was an auto card. In the past, when I've manual swapped auto cars, I've had to wire basically this up into a plug at the shifter. Not sure if I'm going to have to do that because this is a manual harness, but regardless, I've got to wrap this wire in loom or electrical tape or something because it's just loose wires right now. But other than that, this is pretty much wrapped up. Like I said, I have to throw the starter on. I've got to reposition my chain on the engine hoist, but not much more left until it can go in the car.